when I started reminding myself that this is supposed to be a good time, that I'm doing this because I love doing it, my artwork just across the board got a lot better. I wasn't so fixated on every drawing having to be, a beautiful academic study. This was back again to that sort of really simple, sort of Glenn Orbicky kind of style. I think I was also looking at fashion a little bit at this time. So just different artists that I'm studying, and they start to kind of mash up a little bit. I always liked the sort of analogy that Jeff's dad Robert uses, that every artist when they first start out is just sort of a blank piece of sheet metal, and each influence is a different blunt force object, and you just start beating at that piece of sheet metal. And at first you can see very clearly what made the dent. So you grab like a ball peen hammer and you hit that piece of sheet metal, and you can tell that it's got the shape of a ball peen hammer dent. And then you hit it with a car, or you bash it with some rocks, and eventually it just ends up this sort of mangled, unique piece of twisted metal. And none of it is really exactly recognizable, because influences will put dents in other influences, and maybe a refined eye can look at it and say, oh yeah, I can see you're studying so and so, I can see it. But your first influences are always very obvious, but then 20 years down the road they become less so, because they've just been sort of molded and bent and twisted by other influences in a good way, hopefully in a good way, ideally in a good way. So this is a really chaotic phase of quick sketch that I went through that was very freeform. Not a lot of Riley in here on the surface anyway. I mean, sure, it's always rattling around in my head, but in this it was almost like a conscious effort to avoid that and just go very, very loose and sketchy and energetic and see what I could come up with, just completely without a plan. Just going in and just drawing, just attacking the drawing. Again, that aggressive phase. Here's another one, very aggressive, very, very aggressive drawing. Another demo, and I like it a lot, but again, drawing like this can go off the rails very, very easily. And that's not always the best thing in a demo, but I like this drawing a lot. There's some goofy stuff in it here and there, but goofy in a good way. This was just a really fun phase of drawing. I can't say that it was necessarily my best phase of teaching, but it was one of my better phases of drawings. So again, in a demo, you have to kind of weigh it on two sides. How good is the drawing and how good was the instruction? This was a phase where it was probably a little stronger on the drawing and not so much on the instruction. I'm sure that some of these demos confused quite a few students, but I bet they were fun to watch. It's always fun to watch someone try to destroy themselves. So, and that's what those demos were sometimes. Just we like to watch people walk tight ropes and have knives thrown at them at a carnival or whatever. It's like that threat of destruction. We all like watching race cars, right? Maybe you're into cars, but I think most people watch them because they're waiting to see someone crash, and demos can be that way sometimes. So another page of quick sketches, lots of energy in this. Really, again, another really aggressive stage of drawing. Not a lot of Riley in here, but you can still see some of those Riley rhythms showing through, but definitely a more aggressive phase of drawing. This was a goofy model we had for a while, but he was a lot of fun to draw. This was a very, very abstract. I mean, you look at those eyes, there's not really an eye in there. It's pretty abstract. So again, this was kind of that very designerly aggressive phase of drawing that I was going through. And there's a lot of those in here because, like I said, it was one of my favorite phases of drawing. I'm actually not near this gutsy in my drawings now. But yeah, I liked this phase a lot. So here we go, very aggressive. I mean, there's a lot of simplicity in here as well, especially in the areas as we move away from the focal point. The focal point, very designerly, very aggressive, lots of fun shapes, fun calligraphy. But then down at the bottom, a little simpler. It looks like I was going over composing the figure on the page and using a checkerboard pattern. So we've got a big light or a big dark shape over here balanced out by a big dark shape over here. big light shape up here, balanced out by a big light shape down here. So just breaking up that picture plane around the figure. So starting with the figure as a foundation, but then moving on into a strong graphic composition. So basically treating the figure as a compositional exercise, which can be a lot of fun. And I think that's where I started with this, and then put a more aggressive sort of facade on it once I was done, so that it wasn't just a checkerboard. That's always the trick with composition. You know, you want to use some sort of process for, you know, graphically breaking up your page, but you don't want that to show up too much. The more obvious it is, the more people are going to get bored of it. So it's always walking that fine line. There's a lot of walking up fine lines in art. So this is again that kind of that goofy model that we had for a while. He was really cool. Had a lot of fun drawing him. This is I think this is Stephanie again. So again, she's been modeling for us forever. And again, that really aggressive phase of drawing, but still, you know, still wanted to set aside. So I think this was kind of my where I realized that maybe these drawings weren't the most instructional thing ever. So I started balancing it by doing little diagrams over on the side. So that was something that I started to delve into at a certain point in my demos, when I thought that maybe the drawings were a little too chaotic and difficult to follow. You'll start seeing a lot of that in some of these demos where I did little diagrams over on the side, trying to have the best of both worlds. Again, that really aggressive period of drawing. I like these a lot. Very, very energetic. Lots of fun. Again, more from that general area. Again, very, very aggressive. These are probably 3-minute poses, I would guess. Yeah, there's 7 of them. So yeah, these are probably 3-minute poses. And again, just going at it, going really, really, really aggressive with the drawing. Not so academic. Trying to break out of that academic rut. What we would call the generic phase. We talk about that a lot at the school, where it's the generic phase. So just, you know, again, another page. I think this was another from the phase where I was studying Glenn Orbick a lot, because you see those super long flowing lines. Glenn used to say, let those gesture lines flow, draw right off your pad and onto your neighbor's pad. So I'm sure that's what I was going after here, is just that really super long flowing lines, just pushing that gesture to the point of absurdity. So again, just, you know, more head demos, just, you know, going back through the years here, just, you know, dusting away things like an archaeologist. Some skull studies. I love drawing skulls, and I used to just do studies like this, and then for some reason I always threw eyeballs in them. I'm not really sure why, but I would just get a skull, and I would do little like 20, 30, 40-minute studies of a skull and just try to compose a page. So I'd put the skull up there and just draw. That would be my a 3-hour phase of study, is just sitting down and doing like little 20, 30, 40-minute drawings of skulls and putting together a nice page. So it was just something I always really liked doing. I like drawing skulls a lot. Another one of those demos where I was really pushing it. Again, kind of the style that I'm a little bit more known for. Really bordering on chaos, almost losing that 2-value breakdown. But again, at a certain point, I discovered that was, if anything, confusing students, because they were trying to go straight for this and not doing the things that I did to get to this point. They were trying to leapfrog straight to that point. So I was trying to teach people too much what I was currently doing rather than teaching them how I got there, which isn't always the most helpful thing in the world. So this looks like it's a little bit longer drawing. This certainly isn't a demo. So this is probably like a 2-hour drawing from quite a while ago. I actually don't even really remember doing this drawing. Yeah, so it's a little longer, cleaner 2-hour drawing. Sometimes my demos I actually prefer to my longer drawings, if I'm being totally honest. This looks like this was probably a little longer drawing as well. Probably 2 hours, something like that. I like it a lot. This is another model, Sasha, that we had for quite a while. She's moved on with her life, but a really, really great model. A lot of fun to draw. Some more drawings from that really aggressive phase of drawing that I was in. Just having a lot of fun. I like the likenesses on this page, even though I was super aggressive with them. I feel like they look a lot like the model. So Brooke hasn't modeled for us in quite a while, so this must be a pretty old drawing. I don't think Brooke's modeled for us in probably 18 years, something like that. So this is definitely an older drawing, demo, but I like the design of this a lot. So again, this is a little bit more aggressive drawing, really pushing the overall pictorial quality of the drawing, not as procedural as some drawings would be. This is another from that phase of drawings that I was doing when I would start off in a 20-minute lands class doing a drawing alongside the students at first, and then helping them in the second half of the sitting. We'll just keep flipping through here. You'll start recognizing a lot of these models here because I've talked about them in the past. This was a nice phase of drawing where it was a good balance. There's nice full value finish to the drawing, but at the same time, good construction, good rhythms. I think this is when I was really starting to put it all together, and starting to really refine my teaching methodology that really walks you through the process of gesture, structure, mass, using C curves, S curves, straights for the gesture, using cube spheres, cylinders for the structure, getting the simple 2 value, and then injecting your full value range, and really getting that process down to a little bit more of a science. It took me a long time to become a good teacher because I didn't realize how important really outlining the steps for the students are. So super aggressive phase of drawing here. I'm just going in really with a lot of hard outlines, really cool designerly quality. I like this page. There's definitely some weird drawing stuff going on, but I like that page a lot. It's definitely one of those fun pages. Reminding myself to have a good time. This, I don't know what I was doing here. This is definitely a demo, but again, this was probably the height of that period where I didn't realize that I was doing some stuff that maybe confused some students, because this probably didn't make a whole lot of sense. It's a nice drawing. I like it, but I'm betting the demo wasn't the clearest thing anyone had ever watched. This is a model that we had for a while, Miriam. He was great, really cool model, a lot of fun to draw. Again, going pretty crazy with the quick sketches, pushing character type a little bit more. Definitely one of those fun pages, reminding myself to have a good time. I didn't always remember that. I used to really sort of beat myself up a little bit when I wasn't doing as good of drawings as I thought I should be doing, and I would forget to have fun. When I started reminding myself that this is supposed to be a good time, that I'm doing this because I love doing it, my artwork just across the board got a lot better. I wasn't so fixated on every drawing having to be, a beautiful academic study. This, for instance, there's a really cool, just abstract pictorial quality to this, but there's some goofy drawing and stuff on this, but it's fun, and so, you don't want to be too lazy about your academics, but at the same time, you don't want to take all the fun out of it either. That was a nice drawing. I remember that. That was a demo that I was really proud of. I'll probably be wrapping this up here pretty quick. We'll come back and definitely do some more of this. I'll try to dig out some of my drawings from earlier on. Like I said, this is sort of a really refined selection. So these are all drawings that I was proud of. They're not necessarily my best drawings, but they're all drawings that I was proud of for the time that I did them. But a lot of fun drawings in here. And like I said, we've taken about 45 minutes here or more just going through, or about 40 minutes, I guess, just going through here, and I've still got, we haven't even scratched the surface of just the drawings that are in this box. So again, this is just one of 8 boxes that I have. I've just sort of pulled aside drawings that I liked over the years, and then when I would fill up a box, I'd fill up another box. And then just recently, probably about 2 years ago, I went through all the boxes, and this is sort of my my favorite selection out of those boxes. So it's sort of the best of the best. Again, not necessarily the best drawings, but just the best examples of my process. And so I've got these archival boxes, and I load them up with drawings as time goes along, and just as I clean out my pad, I'll give away drawings to students that I'm going to throw away if they want them, and the ones that I keep, I file away. Otherwise, I just end up with stacks and stacks and stacks of drawings, and I wish I could keep them all, but at one point I literally had like 3 3-foot stacks of drawings, and there's just no way that I could constantly drag those around with me everywhere I went. So I'm probably actually getting back up to that again now, but they're nice and ordered in boxes. And at some point, I'll probably have to go through them all and thin out the herd a little bit. But these are the drawings that I've pulled aside for my book. We'll get back to this, and we'll do some more of this down the road. I actually enjoyed looking through these drawings because I haven't looked through some of them in about 2 years since I pulled them aside. So it's a nice little walk down memory lane for me as well. So we'll come back and we'll do some more of this in a little bit, and maybe I'll tell some stories about when I first started the school. The first few years of the school were an interesting time. The school definitely wasn't what it is now. It was a little bit more like the Wild West. So we'll have some fun stories down the road, and we'll get to flip through some more of these drawings. I hope you guys found this interesting, and we'll come back to join us when we do some more.